Let me know when you're ready.
It's like three, two. I don't know why I did that. All right, yo. Thank you, Prab, for hopping on to this quick little interview. We've been working together for, is it June?
A little earlier. I think it was like April.
April. Yeah, been quite a while. I think that's
Well,
just over 7 months now. Made a huge progress on this bulk. I think we started at around 179, 180-ish. Now we're
yeah,
probably up to touch 200, which was
touch 200 finally.
your big magic number that you came to me with. He was like, most people are like, I want to bulk, put on muscle. I was like, nah, I'm touching fucking 200, bro. I'm like,
I do.
we don't have to do it. And you're like, no, we had to.
It's a deal breaker.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about when you first started, before the program, what your fitness journey was like up to that point, what you're kind of feeling, and why you reached out in the first place.
Yeah, so I was trying to bulk before that too. So that was a big thing for me, just putting on some strength, some size. I was always a skinny kid. So I wanted to put on some size, some strength. And I was doing all these different workouts that I found online, trying to learn and put stuff together. I mean, you obviously know I'm a physio, I'm a physiotherapist, so that helps a little bit with the exercise knowledge. But I feel like I was taking bits and pieces from what we learned in school, combined with stuff off the internet, and it worked a bit. Like I initially when I started, I was like back in the day, I was like 145, 150 pounds, but I feel like at some point I was plateauing, and I realized it had been months and I hadn't moved on anything. I hadn't moved on any lifts. I hadn't increased on any. I hadn't like gone up in weight, and even if I did, it was just like water, and it would go down right away. And I wasn't really tracking food. I was just kind of winging it, and I think that's the best way to say it. I was just winging it and just doing whatever the fuck uh, I thought was right. And obviously that stopped working at some point. So that's when I found your content. And I was already learning a lot off just like following you off your page. But then at some point I said, you know what? Let's see what we can do when you have someone in your corner. And that's what it's been like.
Yeah, I remember when you first messaged. I think you asked for was it help with like a bench, or like I think you got me to look over your workout program. It was something like that. I remember you first messaged, and then the second time you're like, "Yo, let's hop on a call, do coaching." And I was like, "The fuck!" I remember hopping on. You're like, "Yo, let's do it." I'm like, "Okay, sick." You're like, "Let's get it 200 pounds." I'm like, "Sick,
Yeah.
fucking do this." Um, you talked a little bit about how you're kind of wigging it with your training and nutrition. What was like the biggest struggle for you? Do you think it was eating? Do you think it was the training part of things? If there's like one thing that you're like really struggling with or couldn't really wrap your head around, what would you say that was?
I think it was a bit of everything, to be honest. One thing with the training was it's interesting. You know what you're supposed to be doing in terms of like you know that you should be focused on form, etc., focused on tempo, but then you get in the gym and you just want to ego lift a bit. You want to put as much weight on as you can. And one like something I would do often is like try to max out like every week and just the form would just it wasn't like shit, but it just wasn't good either.
Yeah.
And so you would get the weight up, but you didn't really build anything while you did that. And then you come back the next week and expect it to be better, but you didn't really do the type of work that would improve it. You just like lifted it. So that's one thing in the training side. Nutrition side, I had no idea what I was eating. Like I had phases of tracking food, but I'd never like really sat there and done it.
Mhm.
So the accountability piece on the nutrition was also missing because I was just even if I didn't hit it, I didn't really care. But now since I had someone who was there and could see what I was doing or not doing and continues to be like that, it kind of makes you more likely to write it down and hit the numbers. You're just like, oh shit, like I wanna make sure I'm doing what I need to be doing. So that part was huge.
Yeah, I think I remember on our first call together, you're like, yeah, just the accountability part of it. And I totally get that because I have a coach for the exact same reason. It's like, know what I should be doing. But like when you have someone there that's gonna call you out on your shit when you're not doing it, and even when things get busy, I think that's a huge part of it that most people
Yeah.
kind of like put under the table because they can't hold themselves accountable, right? So that's been a huge part. Um, we've worked together for so long. What's been like your biggest accomplishment thing that you look back on? You're like, damn, bro, I fucking did that shit. Like, what's like that moment for you?
You mean like numbers, or you mean like
Um, I don't know. What's been the biggest thing for you? It can be numbers. It can be in like body weight. It can be how you feel. It can be like your technique, whatever you think.
yeah, I think the first thing for sure is technique. Technique's gotten a lot better. I look at some videos from before when I was doing stuff, and yeah, it was a PR. Where like, was it really? Considering he did like a half squat. Like I remember like last year, I think in April, I did 225 on squat, and I watched that video like after. I said, dude, that was I can't believe I even posted that on Instagram. Like I that should not be on the internet, especially as a physio. Like like, oh my God, 225 for 2 reps. Good job. It was like a fucking quarter squat. And now we look at it now and like we did 225 like 4 reps. And it was like the first 2 reps were good and then the second two were just above parallel. And we were both like, yeah, it wasn't enough. So it's just like even just like having that standard being raised on technique on the same weights has been huge, like knowing exactly how to dial in technique. And then obviously being able to teach that to other people as a physio myself, being able to teach that to clients has been huge. And then just hitting the goals that I didn't really think were possible. Like I never thought I'd hit 200. I said that as a joke, to be honest. I said if I say 200, I remember on our call I said I'm gonna say 200, but I really like just want to get up to like 190ish, and then we actually hit 200. And even I remember even told my like family and like my girl that I'm gonna do 200. They're like, no, you're gonna be fucking obese, and like I'm definitely not. So it was good, man. It was a good experience. We hit the number, and then yeah, as PRs. Yeah, man, hitting PRs too. Like the bench finally started going back up. Hit fucking 3 plates on deadlift that day, and it didn't destroy my back. So that was that. Like it felt pretty easy to be honest. So um, that's sick, man. It's just like everything has just improved a lot. My knowledge has improved, and yeah, credits to you, man. Like you know what the fuck you're doing, and I think everyone can learn a lot from you.
I think, man, like just like when you show me that squat video for the first time, and now we look back at it and we're like, holy shit. Like, or even looking at like your old deadlift videos, all the old pressing videos where it was like half reps, and now we're like, I remember the first time I was like, yeah, bro, we have to drop the weight and we have to increase
Yeah,
the tension. I was like, fuck, like I know what that feels like because I've had that happen to me where someone tells you that, but it's like you need to hear that. And look at where our bench press, look at where your bench press is now, look at where the shoulder press is. Think you're doing 60s the other week, and it was like forward motion all the way down, all the way up. You compare that to the first shoulder press video you sent me, it was like a half rep with 35s, and you're like, bro, this is
yeah,
like huge
yeah.
gain. So kudos to you. You dialed back the ego when you needed to, when I don't think a lot of people would, right? A lot of people would be like, yeah, fuck this guy. What does he know? I just want to push my limit. But you're able to do it, and I think the dividends have paid off with the effort that you're kind of bringing in to now. So biggest like what would you say is the most underrated part of the entire like fitness journey, you would say?
Um, honestly, it's just the consistency. Like I think a lot of times when we're not tracking things, we think we're being more consistent than we are. We're like, dude, I've been working out 4 or 5 times a week. I'm eating on the surplus and protein. I'm doing it every day. Why am I not making any gains? But then when we started like really writing it, and then even when it's something as simple as when you would ask me like, hey, how was it this week? I'd go like, actually, I didn't really do everything. So no wonder I didn't make gains. You know what I mean? Like you don't realize that the simple things add up a lot. And I think we need to focus more on the consistency of the simple actions. Like, okay, did you hit calories today? Did you hit protein today? Did you get your workout in even 3 times a week? And if you can say you did that on a consistent week to week basis over a long period of time, it adds up. And when you look back, then you see that it added up. So I would say that the most underrated part is the consistency with the simple actions.
Especially for someone like you, where you're a physio, you're working in person, but you're also running your own business at the same time. Like you
Yeah.
got so much on your plate. I remember there'd be weeks where like I'd be like, bro, you don't need to be working out like 4 times a week, 5 times a week. Like we cut that shit back to work around your schedule because at the end of the day, if you can't recover from what you're doing, it makes no sense to just tire yourself out and leave yourself with no energy to do everything else, right? So
Yeah.
because of your workload, like it makes sense to dial it back and makes sense to turn things up. And I think you did a great job of managing that, managing all those different aspects and still having the time to put into your health and wellness and just like your own journey too. So I think that goes a long way in building that consistency where like it's not 5 times a week that's important for you. Like we tried that when we were working together and you were like, bro, I feel absolutely fucking like garbage. Like you're just getting bodied every week. And
Yeah.
it makes sense to work like that because fitness should be adding to your life, right? Like the things that you do should be working to better yourself. And if it's
Mhm.
not, it doesn't make sense to. So kudos to you for putting in the work. I think we definitely made a plan to kind of work around your lifestyle, which is the biggest thing. I feel like that's why fitness can be so personalized one-to-one. Similar to the way when you do your job, your rehab care is one-to-one, working around the person that comes into you, right? So huge part about that. Um, what opened your eyes into, I guess, like what you were lacking in your fitness journey, where it's like, oh damn, this thing is actually a lot more important than I thought it was. Was that like recovery? Was that like tracking food? What kind of opened your eyes as to like, oh damn, like this thing actually moved the needle a lot more than I thought it would?
See, like full range of motion on lifts, honestly. Because before there's all this shit that's circulating on the internet about like, yeah, you don't really need to go below 90 on your shoulder press or your presses, like it's bad for your shoulders. And then I spent a lot of time correcting that myth for clients. But then at the same time, when you go to the gym, you end up falling into that same trap of, oh, you know what, I don't need to go that far because it's just not necessary. But what I found is the more range of motion I used, I was feeling better too. And then I started seeing better progress on the lift. So that was something that I used to neglect quite a bit. Um, I would say tracking too, for sure. Just like just hitting the numbers, you know what I mean? Like hitting the protein. Like there's some days where you're not going to hit it and it's fine. But for most days, trying to be aware of what you're eating and on top of it, that's huge.
Fire. Um, if there was someone else, or if you're talking to yourself from like 7 months ago, where they're kind of debating that coaching thing, where they're getting onto the bulking journey, what advice would you give to that person in terms of like how would you ease their mind as to what they're about to do next?
In terms of getting a coach,
Getting coached or just like their bulking journey in general. Like say someone's about to go about this on their own, what advice would you give them?
bulking journey, just be ready to fucking eat a lot of shit, even if you don't feel like it. That's literally like sometimes you're just sitting there scarfing down a meal, like holding back tears. Like, you're just like, fuck, like I gotta drink this damn protein shake too on top of this food. Like, just get ready for pain. Like it sucks. that's that's it. So it sucks. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you're a naturally like super skinny guy, you don't like eating that much. Like you're just gonna have to suck it up and eat it. And please, yeah, you gotta track your food. That's one big thing. Like you might think that, oh, I eat a lot. Like don't worry. Then you go and track it for a week, and you find out that you actually are not even hitting maintenance. That actually happened to me when I first started tracking. I thought I was eating a lot because I was feeling like bloated after meals, and I checked it. I was like, that was only 2,800 calories. How the fuck am I supposed to do that? And then that gives you awareness. Like if you don't have that, if you don't even know where you're at, how can you know what you need to change, right? So sometimes our perception of things is not it's not actually what's happening in reality. So just for someone going on a bulk, just like if you're not seeing results on a bulk, you're probably not eating as much as you think you are, and just get ready to suffer. That's
Yeah,
it,
living proof right here. I witnessed all like 6 months of that.
dude. It's fucked. It was bad, bro.
And you had your nausea too, like your condition that makes you a little bit more
Yeah,
nauseous.
yeah, dude. Like I was literally like dry heaving, eating all that shit. Like, but we did it, and I'll probably have to do it again someday. But but
Disclaimer, most people don't have this condition that Prab has, so you're not going to be dry heaving as you're eating. But it's still hard. You still got to be able to put food down when you don't want to. So
yeah,
definitely.
sure.
In terms of the coaching journey, When you started off, did you have any concerns as to what you're getting into, especially with online coaching? I feel like that's something that a lot of people don't really know about. It's very like it's pretty niche or it's pretty new, I would say. Did you have
Yeah.
any concerns, and how did that get addressed or not get addressed?
Oh, I didn't have many concerns just because I had been lifting for a while. I could see if someone's a beginner, they might feel they need a little bit more like in-person or hands-on guidance. But honestly, I don't even think that necessarily is true because you were really responsive with me sending videos. I was like straight up spamming you videos too. Like pretty much every time I'm there, I send you like on the compound lifts, I was sending you like every set. So you were pretty responsive with correcting movements there and being able to see what needs to change. So yeah, like I feel like any possible concern I could have had, you were pretty hands on with it, and you were good at checking in and making sure that everything's being done the right way. So I don't think for me there are that many concerns. Just if anyone has concerns about online coaching, I would say like if you've been lifting for a bit, you definitely shouldn't really be worried because everything you need to do will be taken care of, provided you're leaning into the support. That's the big piece. Like you have to lean in, right? Like you have to send the videos. You get out of it what you put in. So that's really important. And even for beginners, if you're interested in it, you'll definitely see results uh, because it's not like it's just because it's online, you're not really hands on. You're still taking an interest and checking in. So yeah,
Yeah, I feel like even with the video feedback, like I remember you said it yourself at some point, like you would send me the videos and then you would just write the feedback underneath the text. And
yeah,
I'm like, I was gonna say the exact thing. Like
yeah,
as you start to watch yourself too, you start to notice the cues, like you know where you're kind of going a little bit wrong or like things that you should be correcting. Um, but yeah, definitely for experienced people, like even I to this day have a coach where I send videos to and I'm like, give me feedback on this. It's like you can always get better at your craft, at what you're doing. But it's just a matter of putting in that time, paying your dues, and actually going about sending the videos and getting that feedback in the first place too. So
yeah.
pretty solid. Um, what surprised you most about the coaching experience in general? Like, is there something that kind of stuck out to you in the way I did things, or like there's a system, or like what kind of opened your eyes as to, oh shit, like that actually helped me a lot more than I thought.
I like the weekly check-ins. Like that helps me just because sometimes it's just about verbalizing what's going on in the plan. Sometimes we set a plan or we set a goal and we just keep trudging on and we never sit there and try to evaluate how our progress has been. So even having weekly check-ins with you and you asking me stuff like, hey, okay, how were the lifts this week? Man, it was kind of shit. I like almost felt like it was harder this week. And then right after that, you would ask something like, oh, how's sleep? And then I think about it, I say, oh shit, actually sleep sucked this week. So it helps you make that connection, just verbalizing what's going on in the process. So I find that helpful. Even if someone doesn't have a coach necessarily, I think there's something that can be gained from checking in with yourself, but it's a lot easier when someone else is prompting or cueing that from you.
Yeah, especially when you're asking the right questions.
Yeah,
Gauge that. Like checking in with yourself or reflecting is I think that's something a lot of people don't even do on their own. But
yeah,
like that coach, it's now not only are you asking questions, but you're also asking the right questions to get the answers, right?
yeah.
So yeah,
That's
definitely goes
great.
a long way. Um, yo, thank you for your time. Is there anything else you want to say to someone that may be starting out, someone that's contemplating coaching, someone that wants to level up their fitness journey? Is there anything you have to say to that person?
Yeah, I would say, man, don't be afraid to invest in yourself for sure. Like find someone who you resonate with or is their content speaking to you, and it's better to just have that accountability and support and get to your goal faster. I feel like in life a big thing is just the speed. Like if you can get a certain result faster, you're going to improve faster and improve exponentially. So if you've been fucking turning your wheels just seeing no results, like don't be afraid to invest in yourself because it's definitely going to pay off. And I did want to say like thanks a lot to Khajiit, and this guy's fucking awesome. Like he knows what he's doing. He's very knowledgeable. He's super professional. If you guys are even thinking about it, contemplating working with him, don't even think twice because you're definitely gonna get your money's worth, and you'll also make some funny
You
political jokes together, and
make
it'll be a lot of fun.
me
What?
make me cry.
That's what we do here, baby.
No, thank you, bro. Appreciate that. You've been one of my favorite clients to work with so far. Just a lot of hard work, uh, no excuses, getting things done. And if shit falls off the wagon, we just get back on track. And that's like the best part. That's the best thing I can ask for within someone. So really, really resilient. You put your money where your mouth is. And man, appreciate you for trusting the journey, but we're just getting started, right?
Of course.
Thank you, bro. And thank you for listening to this interview. I'm not really sure how to end it off, so take it easy. Fuck, how do I stop this shit?